The November stretch run is here and all of the Wolverines' goals are within range, but those goals require 1-0 weeks. The next chance comes here this week against Purdue. We're here to break down all the storylines with Jack Miller and John Jansen. I'm Brian Bush. Welcome into this game day edition of Inside Michigan Football. The Wolverines accomplished their first yearly goal by earning a fourth consecutive win over Michigan State. Defensively, Michigan stymied the Spartans most of the night, with Jimmy Rolder racking up 10 tackles and a sack, and Derek Moore adding 6 tackles and 2 sacks. Offensively, the running game led the way. Michigan had a pair of 100-yard rushers for the first time since the national title game. Justice Haynes grinded out a 26-carry, 152-yard, 2-touchdown performance, while Jordan Marshall went for 110 yards on 15 carries, including the game's exclamation point, a 56-yard score late. Here is Marshall on that play.
All these guys that it's going to be their last time playing in this rivalry. Jay Sean, a lot of these guys, it's their last time, so going out there and playing for those guys is something that I always remind myself is that I still have time, but how can I play and prepare to make sure that I don't let my teammates down? And those are guys that I look up to every single day, and I'm just trying to put my best foot forward on that run and go score and put that game away for those guys, and so that we can be state champions, and we are. So just excited to go out there and play for those guys.
Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes in 2025, like Tyrone Wheatley and Tim Biaka-Batuka in 1994. That was the last time Michigan had a pair of 100-yard rushers against the Spartans. In a rivalry, that's how you carve out a legacy.
Yeah, it sure is, and it's a credit to the recruiting, the development of that running game, the offensive line, the wide receivers, the tight ends as well. It takes all 11 guys playing that way to get those running backs going, and it was great to see, particularly against a rival, when you can control the line of scrimmage like that, dominate up front, and impose your will. For two guys to do that, it's awfully impressive.
And in a rivalry game, it always comes down to those big moments. And so big numbers, obviously created by big moments, but it's going to be Justice Haynes coming out of halftime, right? 28 yards on a run, 20 yards on a run, they punch it in, and then it's going to be Jordan Marshall with the 56-yard touchdown run. You think about the 2025 Michigan State-Michigan game, those are two of the plays that are going to come to mind.
Got two great offensive linemen with me, so let's talk about that O-line, especially Blake Frazier, his first start at left tackle.
Yeah, I think he's played really, really well. And when some of those big explosive plays happen, you saw him down the field, getting on the linebackers, getting on to safeties, making his presence known. I don't think the moment's been too big for him. He was chomping at the bit all season for his opportunity. It came, and I think he's played really well so far.
They've all played really well. And what I'm really excited about is the youth and the future. But when you look at Jake Guarnera, he was the backup center. He really wasn't even on the depth chart. And now you look at all the games that he's played, all the games everyone else has played, and I think he's been the most consistent offensive lineman. I love what I've seen from Sprague, and both tackles now, with Sprague at one and, when you've got Blake Frazier at the other, there's a little bit of an edge to those guys. And now that you got a partner in crime out there, I think you start to play with more of an edge. You feel more comfortable. You feel like, hey, somebody else has got my back. I'm not the only one doing it. That's going to spread throughout the rest of the offensive line. And speaking of offensive line, I had a chance to talk with Grant Newsome, offensive line coach, and here's my conversation. Grant, you've got 3 redshirt freshmen starting on this offensive line. Let's start with Kripp, the center, who's had a number of different guards. How have you seen him display leadership in that room?
Sure. I think for Kripp, as well as Gio, just understanding that these are guys who haven't played as much, and it's not, he has not taken on more responsibility per se, but more of, hey, off the field, on the field, in the meeting room, lead these guys, right? Continue to set the example, especially now, because it's not just, oh, hey, I'm setting the example for those guys in a couple years. Those guys are playing, and they're going to be a part of us winning or losing games.
Sprague, the right tackle. I know he started one game last year in the bowl game, but now he's been a consistent starter on the right side. How has he developed? How has he grown from that first game against Alabama?
The challenge for us, from us to him, has been continue to chase the details and don't just get complacent, so to speak, with the, hey, I've started some games now. And he hasn't, but that's the challenge for us is, hey, now that you know where you're going, right? You know the calls, all those things. You're not a freshman anymore. Attack the details, attack the how, as Coach Moore always says, not just the knowing where I'm supposed to go.
He knew he was starting. Jake Guarnera was the backup center, and I know in fall camp he started to get some right guard reps, but he was about 3rd on the depth chart. He's been able to hold on to that spot now that everyone else is healthy. What's he doing well?
Sure, I think it's, it's when we talk about all the time, it's a meritocracy, and it's a credit to him. He's come in and he's played well, and he's earned the right to stay in that spot.
Blake is now a starter at left tackle. First game was in Spartan Stadium. How did you see him handle the emotions, but also the assignments and ultimately execution?
I think he played pretty well. Obviously there always is stuff to clean up. The biggest compliment I could pay him is that if you'd watched that game, you would not have known that it was his first start in his career, and especially like you said, in a huge rivalry game on the road. So he handled the noise, he handled the emotion, the chippiness that we all know happens in that game. So I'm proud of him for that.
Numbers say the consistency's been there in the run game. We sometimes see the imperfections more than anybody else. What have you seen? What is the most consistent part of the Michigan run game?
Sure. I think the thing that has been consistent for us and has to be the hallmark of this is physicality. There's always been times where, hey, your hat placement could be a little bit better, your footwork, but like when you just run off the football and try to impose your will on people, good things tend to happen, especially when you have running backs who run as well as ours do. Because then if you have a hat on a hat and you're trying to be physical, they can make you right more often than not. When you're timid and you're passive and you're a lot of times overthinking, well, that's when TFLs happen. That's when bad things happen.
Pass protection and matchup, blitz pickup as well. Where are you seeing this offensive line and how they're developing?
Sure. So the biggest thing that was a challenge every single week for us is passing off twists and handling people's third down packages. It's something that even from when I played, teams have become much more exotic. I've never coached in the NFL, but you watch the NFL, it's a lot more NFL style kind of third down packages, and teams giving you multiple looks and 4 strong, then coming back and same look and giving you a 4-week pressure. So it's on the center first and foremost to make sure, hey, we're ID'd correctly, obviously with the help of the quarterback, but and then it's on the guys for all the studying and the looking at defenders and their tells, and hey, what does it mean when all of a sudden he goes high hat, even though he's got his hands on me, right? And that I need to get my eyes outside because that might be in an ET game. So things like that in part come with playing, but at the same time, you have to really attack in your film study and attack in your preparation, especially if you're a redshirt freshman who hasn't played as much.
To the defensive side, a big reason why Michigan is still in playoff mode, the increased production from the defense since the USC game. What has head coach Sharon Moore seen from that defensive unit in recent weeks?
I thought the way we're defending the run overall has been outstanding, and then the tackling has been really good. I thought we're doing a much better job of playing blocks on the perimeter. Our corners, our safeties play physical on the perimeter. It's like linebackers out there, and that was an emphasis in the spring. That was an emphasis in fall camp, and those guys were doing a really good job of that. So and then the depth. The wave of guys that play, the wave that guys that play up front, the ways that guys play at linebacker and the secondary. There's so many guys that play in the game and play at a great level for us.
The secondary got off to a rocky start against Oklahoma and USC, but has progressed well from Washington to Michigan State. I talked to Coach Lamar Morgan about the progression of his group as the season has gone on.
Well, I think the guys is just, focus on the pillars that they needed to do. We got to make sure we tackle in space. Got to make sure we get some ball disruptions. The effort that we play with the ball, whether a play, breaks and we have to fix that. I think that's what you saw in the Oklahoma game and the USC game. They had some explosive plays, and we were able to, in the last 2 games, get the ball down. And I think we just have to make sure we limit explosives here, right? That's where, teams get 1 or 2 explosives, the percentage of them scoring goes way up. And I just think that's what our guys as coaches and players have focused on these last couple games. It's just, if they break one like they did that you saw against Michigan State, at least we downed the football and gave us a chance to play another down.
We talk a lot on the broadcast about having depth, the importance of it. You guys have been battling injuries, rotating guys in and out, some young guys. How do you build a culture where depth is important and it's next man up no matter who's in there?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like strength in numbers, and I think that's kind of what, personally as a coach, that's what I want the room to feel like, that you trust a lot of guys in the room, you can play a lot of them, and then, what's the toughest situation is if you get a guy hurt and you're just begging a guy that's hurt to come back, and he's not ready, and the kid feels any pressure about he needs to come back. And I think you lose some of the confidence in the guys in the room when you do that. So, of course, when guys get hurt, we want those guys to get back healthy as much as we can, but I also want the guys in the room to feel like we trust the guys that's going to play each and every week.
Some great stuff there with Lamar Morgan. And John, you commented all game long against Michigan State. You thought that was the best the secondary has looked this season. Why?
Well, it's Jair Hill. I think he's been very aggressive in coverage, and I think he's done a much better job of sticking with receivers. I think his confidence is growing. And you look at all of the other young players in the secondary. Brandon Hillman did a really nice job in this game in run support of the angles that he takes, going where the back and anticipating where he's going so he's in position to make some of those tackles. We've talked about missed tackles in the run game, in the pass game as well. Now it's just a matter of, Shug has had the ball in his hands each of the last 2 first quarters. Come on, man. Catch the ball. Get us the ball back. We got it with the linebackers and the fumble recovery, but Shug, we need you to take one to the house.
I think it's just really fundamental. They look like they know where to be. Their technique is sound. They're playing really well. They're starting to find a rhythm and a groove to the way that they're working with one another. And there were times earlier in the year where they were out of position, whether it be in coverage or pursuing the ball on tackling. They look like they finally are playing really sound technique-wise, and fundamentally they're in the right position.
Yeah, it's cool hearing multiple names from the secondary in the conversation. That's been pretty much all year long and how we've described the linebackers. Jimmy Rolder was the next man up in terms of leading the way with tackles, but Ernie, Jay-Sean, Cole with the interceptions this season. That linebacker group, they just keep getting better.
And we talked about it in preseason, how good they were supposed to be, and they have not disappointed. Jay-Sean's not really playing linebacker much anymore, and that group's continuing to go up and up. So whether it's Rolder, Cole Sullivan, Ernie, and what he's meant to this team, and Jay-Sean coming off the edge, there's also opportunity to get Bowles playing a little bit more now. There are guys that still can do it at a very high level. They just haven't had their opportunity. That group's been lights out as advertised.
And I think a lot of it goes to the guy that we probably should be talking about more, and that's Ernie Hausman, where Jay-Sean is now an edge defender. And yeah, he still has the label as a linebacker, but he's been able to get all those guys, from young guys and Cole Sullivan, Troy Bowles being a new guy, and obviously what we've seen from Jimmy Rolder. He's done a tremendous job of making sure everybody's on the same page, getting everybody going in the right direction, and connecting what's going on in that defensive line with what's going on in the secondary.
So looking ahead, the Wolverines draw a Purdue team coming off a heartbreaker last week. The Boilermakers lost on a last-second field goal at home to Rutgers for their 6th straight loss. This is year 1 of the Barry Odom era. Odom recently led a team into the Big House as the second game of his 2-year, 19-win run at UNLV took place here in Ann Arbor, a 35-7 Wolverines victory. The most noteworthy aspect of the Boilermakers is the quarterback rotation. Ryan Brown is the starter. He has taken most of the offensive snaps, 60% passer, 12 total touchdowns and 7 interceptions. But Malachi Singleton will get some opportunities. Last week, 9 snaps, 2 of which resulted in touchdown passes. He also ran it 4 times. So, Jack, your impressions of that 2-quarterback setup, Brown and Singleton?
Well, you know the old adage, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. And that might be a little bit of the case with Purdue.
For Michigan's defense, they're just going to have to make sure that they identify who's taking the snap, where they are under center or in the shotgun, because it's going to change the tendencies of the Purdue team.
Yeah, only Baylor among Power 5 conference teams have a worse turnover margin than Purdue coming into this one. John, you've talked about games like this. In a lot of ways, Michigan's playing Michigan. It's a November game. It's a conference game. And it's a playoff game. Win, you keep getting a chance to control your own destiny. Lose, and you're in trouble.
This is a game where it comes down to leadership. What are the captains going to do? Because you have a tendency in some of these games, because of their record, because they've had this turnover issue, you just anticipate, hey, we're going to walk out on the field and win. That's not the case. You always have to play up to your standard. What was it against Washington? What did you do against Michigan State? Now what are you going to do against Purdue? It's time to start stacking good performance on top of good performance, and it's going to come down to the leadership of the upperclassmen that are on the field.
All the goals and aspirations of this team are still in front of them. You have to be a team at this point in the season that's ascending, that's on the rise, that's playing more efficient, that's creating big plays, that is finding ways to enhance their identity so that by the end of the year, you're playing your best football and you're ready for postseason. This is the time for Michigan to really take off and get things going the right way.
An opportunity for Michigan's 7th win overall this year, 7th straight win in the series with Purdue in what is the Wolverines' second to last home game. For Jack Miller and John Jansen, I'm Brian Bush. Thanks so much for tuning in to this game day edition of Inside Michigan Football. Enjoy the game.